Okay, everyone, so I want to go over the structure of the page before we go ahead and get started. We're going to have three main div tags. The one is going to be the main, which is this blue. I'm going to give it an ID named main. Usually we give the div tags an ID. I'm going to call it main. Then I'm going to insert inside of this main a div called left and a div called right. Imagine that for respectively left and right. So what I want to do is this left div tag, I want to make it almost half the size of the main div. And the right div tag almost half the size of the main div. You see there's a little padding on the sides here. That'll give us a little space, a little room to breathe, if you will. So I just wanted to see kind of what it will look like. So I put up here what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do with your CSS. So I want to explain that a little bit. So if you look at the instructions regarding inserting the div tags, you want to make sure you insert the div tags. And above that, you created a blank CSS page and inserted the link to that CSS page. We need to make sure that's all working before we go ahead and insert the CSS code to make this look just like this structure. So go ahead and make sure you do that, and then we can take a peek and see what exactly I'm doing. Okay, so you'll see that I've got my div tags in there. I've got my style sheet link. Don't mind, I have a number 2 behind mine, but I also have my named styles too. I have that for a reason. I already have one named styles. So I'm going to go ahead and start my style sheet. First thing I'm going to do is use the body selector tag. We've seen this before. Open up my curly brace. I want to give it a background color. I like to give it a little something so I can start to see things. So I'm going to type in background dash color. And then I can choose a color. In your instructions, you can go to the W3 Schools page and pick a color. I'm just going to guess at a color. Hopefully, I need a pound sign there. That's important. And we're going to hope that that's a good color to pick. Otherwise, I'm going to come back and change it to the color that I wish it to be. And I'm going to hit enter. And the other thing I like to do is make sure that I have a font family. So font dash family and a colon. And I could type in a font family name. Keep it simple. Something that most people would have in Word. I'm going to just type in Arial for now. You may find that there's a group of font families. You can use the entire group. And I'm going to hit enter and close that curly brace. So I'm going to go ahead and save the CSS style sheet. I'm doing that on my shortcut key. And I'm going to go back to my HTML and I'm going to preview my HTML and make sure that style sheet's working. So I'm going to go to Run and Chrome. Looks like it's working because apparently I chose a blue. In my guessing. So I'm actually, because I'm crazy, I'm going to probably choose the color that I had before so it all matches. There we go. All right. So now I told you about that structure. We want to take a look at that structure. So when I want to write a selector for the structure for main, I'm going to go ahead and start with the pound sign. And I'm going to type the name of that div tag, which is going to be called main. And then I'm going to open up the curly brace and go to the next line. So one thing I like to do to start here, I like to change the width of this main div tag so that it doesn't expand the entire width of a web browser. So I like to make the width 1000 pixels, px. I'm also going to give it the height of 1000 pixels. Just for giggles, usually I just let the height, whatever I put in the div tag, determine the height. But I'm going to do that so it's not extremely long or weirdly short. So I'm going to use my semicolon there. So I got a width and a height for that main div tag. I'm going to type in a background color. And actually, I'm going to type in the background color for white. I actually want my background there to be white. It's going to be easiest to read. So I start with a pound sign. And my white, my code for white is a bunch of F's. And that with a semicolon. And I want to center this div tag. So there's a specific code for centering the div tag, and it's margin colon, and it's 0px. That means on the top and the bottom of the web page to the top of the browser, it's not going to have any space. I'm going to leave a space here and type the word auto. Yeah, types that come up, and semicolon. Auto will automatically find the space on the left and the right to even out the main div tag within that web page. I'm also going to put a border on this just so that I can see it a little bit better. So I'm going to type in border dash style. And because I'm doing that first, because the border needs to have a style before you can see it. You can put a border color, a width, or anything on this, but it needs a style in order to see it. So I'm going to type in solid, just a solid straight border, and then semicolon. And I'm going to type in border dash width 5px and semicolon. And then a border dash color. And then I'm going to give that a color. I'm going to give it a little darker than my background color of my entire body. And that's going to be 066. And I think that should do it for the main div tag. I like to save in between different things and check it out. So we got to go to our HTML page to make sure we're testing correctly. We'll go to Run and Chrome. Hey, it looks pretty good. This is our main div tag. This has a border around it. It has a white background on it. But the body has a bluish color background on it. That's exactly what I was looking for. Now I'm going to style the left and the right here. You're not really going to see anything change unless you want to give them different colors, and that I'm fine with that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my code here, my style sheet. So I'm going to style my div for left. So I'm going to type pound left. And I'm going to style that first. I'm going to style the width of it. The width, I want it to be 480 pixels. That is not quite half of the width of the main div tag, but I'm going to tell you why here in a second. The padding, I'm going to use just the colon. If you notice what came up when I typed in padding, you could choose top, bottom, left, or right. When I type in padding, all four sides are going to be the same. And I am going to go ahead and type 10 pixels. So 10 pixels on each side of this div tag is what it's going to be. And I'm going to type in my semicolon. And then I'm going to type in the float. And you saw this in the last one. And I'm going to type in left. And I'm going to close this left div tag. So this 10 pixels, what it did is, let's peek back over here. The entire thing is 1,000 pixels. The left and the right have to fit within this 1,000 pixels. So what I'm going to do is give each side 480 pixels, 480 plus 480. Pull this up, 480 plus 480 equals 960. That means I have 40 pixels left. I put a padding on the left and a padding on the right of 10 pixels. I put it on the top and the bottom, but for this measure going horizontally, it doesn't count. So padding on the left and padding on the right for the left one, plus 10 plus 10. So I'm at 980. Guess what? I'm going to put the same padding on the right div tag. So plus 10 plus 10. That equals 1,000 pixels that fits in the main. If I accidentally type 481 for my width, it would blow out the main div tag and they wouldn't sit side by side. So they would have to sit side by side. So I've got my left one here. I'm going to type my right div tag. And I'm going to basically type the same thing as I did above. 10 pixels. And my float has to be, I'm floating to the right this time. So one floats to the left, one floats to the right. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and go to my HTML page and run it. You're not going to see much of a difference. See, don't see much. But one way I can tell is if I go into my HTML and in between my div ID for left, I can put text here. You can leave as much space as you want between these. I can put text here, and you can see if they are floating left and right and if they've been sized correctly. You can save this and run it. So you see there's a left side and a right side. So it's about even. So what I had you do is in the left div tag, put an image here, put a logo here, put a video here, put a map here, put different things in the left and right videos. So I wanted to explain that structure to you a bit. So hopefully that helps understand the page.